morning, and thank you for joining the Washtenaw County Road Commission's virtual construction information meeting about the roundabout planned at the intersection of Miller Road and Zeeb Road in Scio Township. Today, I'm going to go over some housekeeping items before turning it over to staff for a presentation about the project, and then we will open the meeting up for your questions. My name is Emma Sharp, and I'm the Communications Associate here at the Washtenaw County Road Commission. Joining me in today's meeting is Senior Project Manager of Traffic and Safety, Michelle Ford. The meeting audio and video is being recorded, and it will be posted to the project webpage on wcroads.org in the next day or two. After the presentation, you will be asked to virtually raise your hand during the Q&A, and I will provide instruction at that time on how to do this from either your computer, the Zoom app, or your touch-tone phone. The chat feature for this meeting is turned on. If you have a question during the presentation, feel free to ask it in the chat and we will address it during the Q&A. You can find the chat window at the bottom of your screen. To turn on automatic captions, click the three dots located at the bottom of your screen. And the floor is yours, Michelle.
All right, thank you so much, Emma. Welcome everybody to our public meeting on the Miller Road at Zeeb Road Roundabout. As Emma said, my name is Michelle Ford. I am the Senior Project Manager for our Traffic and Safety Department. Go ahead, Emma. All right, so we are here to talk about our roundabout planned for this year at the Zeeb Road Miller Road Roundabout. We've had a previous public meeting on design, and now we're getting close to construction. And so that's why we're joined here today. Next. So our current condition out there is it's a two-way stop. There is a flasher that is flashing red for the Miller Road people. They're supposed to stop. And then we have free flow on Zeeb Road, but the yellow flasher is a caution for them to know that there could be traffic entering from Miller Road. So why are we working on this particular intersection? Well, we do have a history of crashes there, and we have a history of fairly serious crashes. So we always keep an eye on our entire road network, but especially on our intersections. And in addition, MDOT also flagged this intersection in a local safety initiative that they did in 2018. And it seems like a long time ago. However, it takes a long time for us to plan our projects. We understood that this was an issue, so we went ahead and we applied for a federal safety grant. Typically, you apply for a grant for several years in the future, which is what we did, and we were awarded a grant to do some improvements to the intersection for safety. So we decided on a roundabout. So I think I have here some just sort of general information about roundabouts as to why this was a reason that we chose this. It's one of our go-tos for safety if we have an intersection with a lot of crashes, because statistically, they do show quite a large reduction in serious injury and fatalities. And they also do typically have a reduction in total crashes. Part of that is due to lower speeds, because we usually put these, design them so that you will lower your speed as you're entering the roundabout. And kind of a bonus for them is we actually can improve traffic capacity. If people sometimes on those side roads like Miller Road, they may have an easier time entering the intersection. So the way the roundabout works is we're decreasing points of conflict. So on the left, a standard intersection has 32 points of contact. The ones there that are in kind of the lightish blue color that say crossing, those are the ones that have the greatest potential for those serious injury and fatal crashes. We want to decrease those as much as possible. So we go over to a roundabout where you see it doesn't have any of those crossing conflict points. It only has 8 points, and they're all diverging or merging points, which once again, in general, tend to lead to less severe crashes. So here's an aerial of one of our roundabouts that we completed in the last several years. The way roundabout works, hopefully you guys are getting used to them, as we have constructed many in Washtenaw County, The entering traffic yields to the traffic that's already within the roundabout. There's a counterclockwise movement, and we put in both splitter islands and that central island to help control the speed of the cars. Next. As I mentioned, we have been installing quite a few of these roundabouts within Washtenaw County. We have the bonus of safety, that traffic capacity. It's less signals for us to have to maintain. All of that leads to it being a very popular form for us. And so not only has the Road Commission installed many of them, but also the City of Ann Arbor and MDOT. And you can see them color coded here. We have multiple jurisdictions within the county, and we've all worked together to get these roundabouts installed. If you would like to learn more about roundabouts, we do have a page on our website. This is at our wcroads.org website, and you can look along the drop downs. I believe it's under the FAQ. And there's different tabs that you can click, some tips, some of the information on the safety, just to explain them a little bit more if you have any curiosity additionally about the roundabouts. All right, so our Miller Road and Zeeb Road roundabout, I just want to show you something about the project funding. Like I said, we were awarded a safety grant. That's from the Federal Highway Safety Improvement Program is the formal name for that. We also have some Federal Surface Transportation Program grant. That is our yearly federal grants. I'm sorry, those are not grants. That's our federal money that we get each year. It's programmed for rural or urban, different uses, and we've put some of that towards this. And then we've also using some of our local Michigan transportation funds that are paid by Michigan residents through their license and registration fees, and also through the fuel tax. So we've got several modes of funding because these roundabouts are quite expensive to build. And so we need to pool different funds in order to have enough funds to complete it. So for our project, we have a tentative schedule. This was in the MDOT bid letting on February 2nd, earlier this month. The as read low bid, that means that's the bid that came right in, was $1,137,799.87. So a very precise bid. Right now, MDOT is working through the award process. There's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. They have to, the contractor has to turn in a bunch of different stuff in order for that contract to be awarded. And so right now we do not yet have that contract award. We'll see that probably within the next month. It should be awarded to hopefully the as read low bid. Otherwise, we'll see if it's another contractor. Next. So because I don't have the contractor's contract award, I don't have a schedule from them yet. So we do know that we will be starting tree removals very soon. We have some environmental restrictions on when trees can be removed, and that's due to some threatened and endangered bat species that are present within Washtenaw County. So the Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, might be Energy, Great Lakes, and Environment. I can't remember which way the E's go. They have specified that all trees must be removed by April 14th is the date that is required in Michigan. So we'll be getting those tree removals done soon. Those will be done by a separate contract because the MDOT contract wasn't going to be awarded quite in time. We went ahead and did an independent contract for that. And then we expect construction to start this spring. We are supposed to have the roundabout completed midsummer-ish. So we would think that the contractor will start hopefully soon. I don't know what that actually date will be yet. So approximately 10 to 12 weeks to build the roundabout. And that, of course, is always going to be pending the weather. Next. So I have some slides here just to kind of show you what's involved with the construction for the roundabout. The first thing we have to do is completely remove all of the pavement that is currently out there. For this particular project, we'll be going north, south, and east a small way. And then on the west side, we'll be going almost all the way over to Dexter Ann Arbor Road. So we don't leave an orphan piece of pavement between Dexter Ann Arbor and Miller and Zeeb Road. So next one, then we have to build up the new road bed. Sometimes, well, not sometimes, this will involve us bringing in some extra limestone. We use a 21 AA limestone is called, and it's an aggregate, a fairly dense aggregate that works really well as a road bed. This is also the time that the contractor will install some underground storm sewer. We have a small amount of underground storm sewer on this, not a lot, but this would be the time that they would do it between taking out the pavement and putting in the new road bed. And they put that down and they make sure our grades are all good and then compact it to a specified amount. Then our typical thing is we do the curbs next, and they have to put out forms. We do have concrete curbs on this. For our roundabouts in Washtenaw County, we have a special detail for our curbs. It's a little bit different that helps work with the roundabout traffic flow. And so the contractor has to get the forms all set up. Next. And then we pour the outside of the curb first, the actual curb itself. And that's the picture over on the left. And you can see it's got a little bit of a slope to it. And that helps with the roundabout traffic flow. And then once that has cured for a little while, it does take a while to gain enough strength. We go ahead and we put the inside portion of the curb. We call that the splitter island. And we do make that in a different color. It's just a visual recognition for the motorists so that they can see the curves of the roundabout a little bit better. And we have to let that cure for a while. We also put in the central island. This roundabout has a solid central island like that. It means that there's not like a vegetative center. Sometimes the township or the road commission will elect to put something in the center for some, visual enhancement. Because of maintenance and everything, it really does work well for us to do the large central island. It's also in red, as you see. And on this one, we like to put in a decorative concrete. This was one of our other projects. I think it was out on Textile and Woodland, and it was right after the decorative concrete had been stamped. We use an actual stamp for that, and it's a little bit dirty, and that has to do with the material that they put on to help them be able to remove the stamping, and then it'll all get cleaned off and sealed, and it'll look really nice. Next. So then it comes time for paving. This particular roundabout has 6 inches of asphalt paving scheduled. So we'll do that in 3 different lifts. So it does take a while for them to do it. Roundabouts can be a little bit tricky to pave. And so it does take us a little while to do it, longer than if you just went down a straight road and they could just pull the paver quite easily. So we have to do 3 courses. And then next we will, Emma, install our pavement markings. So this is when they were putting up yield on this particular roundabout. I think this also was our Textile and Woodland. And so there's a whole bunch of different pavement markings that have to go in, and we need to get those completed before we can open up the road. And then we have signs to go in. There'll be the yield signs. There'll be some signs within the center island to help alert drivers that they do need to make that right to go around. And this particular roundabout also does have a pedestrian crossing. There is an existing pathway along the east side of Zeeb Road that was put in by Scio Township a few years ago. So we do have to realign that slightly right at the intersection. So we'll be realigning that and putting a crosswalk in. It will have a pedestrian refuge in that center island. So the pedestrian will be able to only have to look in one direction for oncoming traffic. And so they can get out in the middle and then wait there for it to be clear and go on to through the rest. So we will be, like I said, realigning that pathway. Here's a good overview of what it's going to look like. And you can see that pathway on the east side. It's gotten moved just a little bit to make it better to cross the roundabout. And this gives you a pretty good indication. Like I said, we're going to go over to the west on Miller Road, almost over to Dexter and Arbor. And then we go off a little ways on all the other sides. So our impact to traffic. Unfortunately, with these roundabouts, the most efficient and the safest way for them to be done is to completely close the intersection to traffic. So it'll be fully closed for that 10 to 12 weeks, and a detour will be posted. We will be able to maintain access for any residents who happen to be within that closed, within the closure. So we'll be posting a detour. We're going to have a couple different legs on this detour. You see here, our project location is kind of in the middle there with that orange dot. And I've got like a little bit more detail on each one. So for the Miller Road, our posted detour will be Dexter and Arbor Road to Wagner Road to Miller Road, or in the opposite direction. And then on the northern leg, Dexter and Arbor through some roads within the city of Dexter, Broad Street, 3rd, Central, then go to Joy Road and Zeeb Road. We did obtain a permit from the city of Dexter. They have reviewed our detour plan and have agreed to it and issued us a permit to put all those signs there. So they're aware of this coming construction. And we always like to throw these up. Road closed means road closed. We have, especially in the last few years, struggled with people, obeying our road closed signs. That can cause a lot of issues. It can cause safety issues for you, for the construction. It also we've seen damage to vehicles because there are unexpected drop-offs, there are things going on. If it says closed, it means closed. So we would really be appreciative of everyone obeying those closures. So if you have any other questions on this, we'll do our question and answer in a minute, but we also have a project page at our wcroads.org. Emma's going to show you how to do that in just a second. And you can subscribe to receive project updates. And then also here, you notice that my name is not on this slide. I have been the project manager on this throughout design, but Kevin is going to take it over for us for construction. So if you have any questions concerning the upcoming construction, Kevin's information is here, and we'll show it to you again at the end of the slide, at the end of the thing. Emma?
Thank you so much, Michelle. So now I'm going to show you guys how to get to the project webpage. And someone yell at me if you start not being able to see my screen. So here I've just gone and opened a regular tab on Google. I've typed in our web address, which is wcroads.org. This will take you to the home page. There's going to be a menu bar at the top of the screen. One of the options is going to be roadwork and construction, and a drop-down menu is going to pop up. You're going to click on current project. Here you'll be able to see an interactive map of every project that we have going on throughout our county. You can click on different projects and see more information about whatever you'd like. If you scroll even further down, you'll be able to see the tiles that we have for each of our projects. They're alphabetical order, but you can use these bars at the top to organize them in which any way you want. So you want to go and find the Miller Road and Zeeb Road roundabout. Here you'll see a map of where the project location is, the township, when the work is being done, impacted traffic, funding information. You'll be able to see any project updates posted in the latest update section. You'll be able to find the project manager's contact information here in the corner, and then any helpful links, including like the detours or the recording of this meeting. And then the most important button is this orange subscribe to project updates. If you click on that, you're able to sign up for project updates for whatever township, whatever kind of project, and whatever kind of update that you want to receive from us. Okay. Now we will open the presentation up for your questions. If you are viewing the meeting on your computer, first make sure to click on Join Audio. You can raise your hand by clicking the Participants or the Reactions button at the bottom of your screen, and then the Raise Hand button at the bottom right of your screen. If you dialed into the meeting from your touch-tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9. As the meeting host, I will unmute participants with raised hands one at a time. I will announce your username or your last 4 digits of your phone number when it's your turn to speak. We are happy to answer as many questions as possible, but please just be respectful of each other's time. If your question is answered before you're called on, you can lower your hand by clicking the lower hand button or by dialing *9. Okay, I do see that we have a few hands raised, so I will go with the person that is named as MF. I will ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay,
Go.
I have 2 questions. One, was a light considered instead of a roundabout? And if not, why?
So yes, in fact, our first plan was to put a traffic signal in here instead of a roundabout. But when we went into the design process, we realized in order to meet all of the sight distance standards and everything that were needed, it was going to require a realignment of Zeeb and Miller Road, not only horizontally, but vertically, because there's some hills that would have had to been changed. And it was going to be very impactful to a lot of the properties on the sides of the roads. And so that was one of our big decisions that led us to the roundabout, because although it seems like, yes, we did have to acquire a little bit of property for this, it would have been much more impactful if we had done the traffic signal.
A second question. People do not signal at roundabouts. It's very frustrating. Shouldn't you put signs up there mandating people to signal like they do at a regular intersection? It's really quite frustrating.
Tell them that one on Scio.
That is something that we typically have not done. It's not necessarily recommended in the Michigan Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices. So we tend to follow their direction when we're doing signage on our roads. And it would be nice if people did it. So I'm not sure if I can offer you a better answer than that.
There is a sign, though. Which one is?
Scio Church and Wagner.
Scio Church of Wagner.
We do have it there. And I'm not sure how to answer that, because we do have it there. It's, I was not part of traffic and safety at the time that was put up, so I'm not really sure how to answer that for you, but it's not included in the recommended signage, and so that's why we have not included it.
Yeah,
Michelle and Emma, I can add to that. I was part of that. That's we installed those signs as a trial basis to indicate for those people to indicate their turn. It's not a requirement, as Michelle indicated, through the Michigan Uniform Traffic Control Devices or the Michigan Vehicle Code. So we cannot require them to use their turn signal. We did it on a trial basis, and we're continuing to monitor that. although I do agree that it is helpful, we do all actually have some that don't feel it's necessary. So we're still trying to monitor that. There is a new manual of uniform traffic control devices coming out. Although I don't believe it'll be included in that. We're still trying to get our arms around whether or not that's a sign that we would like to include with our other roundabouts.
I just find it helpful in this.
Sure.
Personally.
And I don't disagree with you. It's certainly helpful as I navigate through our roundabouts, but it's something that we cannot require.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go to the next person. I actually have a question in the chat from Laura Babe. She says, what is meant by access to residence? My home is on Zeeb between Miller and the river.
Okay, so if it's between Miller and the river, so the road, if you look on this overview right here, you can see that on the north side there, we do have a couple of driveways that will be within our closure zone. So for those particular residents, the contractor will be required to, when I say maintain access, they'll have to make sure that there's always a drivable surface so that you can come in and out of your driveway. Since there's only a couple, the contractor will probably get to know you and allow you to come in and out. Now you will have to come through that northern entrance. You will not be able to drive through the closure like from south to north. You'll have to come in on the north side, but they will make sure that you always have access to your property. Usually the contractors are quite good at communicating with the property owner if like, okay, so today's going to be a paving day. We may come in front of your house for a 20 or 30-minute period where we don't want you to drive on the hot asphalt. We don't want it driven on when it is at a certain temperature. So they would probably try to coordinate with you ahead, make sure that you don't need access during that time. If you do possibly work to have your car, outside of the zone of paving, something like that. But like I said, you will need to come in from that north side.
Okay, and that also includes like emergency services like fire and rescue, right?
We always provide access for them. Yes.
Awesome. Okay. And then I will ask the next person who has their hand raised. They're labeled and named as ASM. I'll ask you to unmute yourself.
Regarding the detours, the obvious sort of shortcuts to these detours are going to be Peters Road and Scio Road, which are both dirt roads that don't get a lot of traffic normally. What are you doing to, mitigate traffic or restrict traffic on those roads?
So our plan right now is we will probably we have these signs that basically say local traffic only, requesting that people only use them if they're local traffic. However, they are public roads. And so we aren't planning to actually restrict access to them. We're just going to encourage people to use our posted detour. We will make sure we work in concert with our district foreman to monitor the condition of those roads, knowing that they are going to get some extra traffic due to, just due to the fact that they're fairly easy cut throughs. So, like I said, we'll monitor the condition. We'll probably put those local traffic only signs up for you. And if you see traffic that is moving through like at a fast, if it's something that becomes an enforcement issue, they're speeding, they are driving in an unsafe manner, that's when we encourage you to contact your local law enforcement. And they can maybe, do a little bit of extra patrolling out there.
Well, the legal speed limit on those roads is 55 miles an hour because they're non-signed roads. So I don't know what the police can do about excessive speed on those roads. And I think that I appreciate this project. I think it's a great idea. But those two roads are going to get inundated with all the traffic that would normally go along Miller.
And we understand that. And that's why we're going to monitor the condition of the road. So hopefully try to keep ahead of that.
Thank you.
Okay. I will ask the next person who has their hand raised, Bob Hyde. I'll ask you to unmute yourself.
Okay, I have two questions also. One is about lighting. Are you going to be adding any lighting to this intersection?
Yes, I should have mentioned that. I apologize that slipped my mind. We will be adding streetlights to this. That's standard in our roundabout and is part of the safety feature of it. This particular one, I believe we're putting 5 lights in. There'll be one in each quadrant, and then there'll also be one that will illuminate the crosswalk a little bit better to help with the safety of that. We have worked with DTE street lighting quite a bit on trying to use certain deflectors and things to keep the lighting as much as possible on the roundabout itself.
Okay, that was going to be where I was going, is how much light, and are you going to try to keep it directed downward and not add to light pollution in this area? It's a nice dark area, meaning
Yeah,
for a bird, you don't want to attract wildlife where they can get hit.
right. That is the goal. And we've worked with DTE as they are dark sky compliant on, as we've
Good,
worked with them. And so, that is one of the things that we know is a concern and has been a concern for residents. So,
good. And my other question had to do with the relocation of the pathway. Will you be keeping that open to pedestrian traffic during the construction?
hopefully, I will have to
Because there's
say,
there's no detour for the pedestrians.
right. And that is going to be something we're going to work with our contractor and hopefully try to find a safe pathway for them. We certainly cannot have people going straight through a construction zone. That's not good for anyone. And we don't want it to limit the construction operations. So we
Right.
will work with them, see if they can find a safe route. If so, yes, we will definitely
Thank you very
try
much.
to keep it open.
Right. And you talked about the cost of this and how you were funding it. Is there any funding going to be coming from local sources? You listed state and federal. So is any of the cost going to the township or the residents?
No, there will be no cost from the township or the residents. We have our Michigan Transportation Fund that we were talking about, which is that is considered our local funds. Those are generated from, like I said, the license and user fees and the gas tax.
Right.
But this is not, there's no contribution from the township or the residents for these outside of those fees that you pay in your gas taxes.
Already.
And
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. We got one more question in the chat. MF asked, the Dexter Ann Arbor intersection with Miller and Zeeb is so close to the roundabout. How will this impact the potential backup after folks drive around the roundabout and towards the other intersection?
well, when we did our analysis on this, we don't think it's going to be any worse than it is now. I mean, it is a close proximity. That is going to, the traffic signal will clear, with each cycle. If there are backups, it would be at a very short period of time within the day. It's not going to be something that is, a regular occurrence. And even with the roundabout, even with that, it would probably be easier to enter than it is now making a turn from Miller Road.
Awesome.
So-
I can add to that too. We do have another example in our county that's near a traffic signal, but our traffic signals are we have sensors at those signals, and so vehicle detectors, and we can adjust those. It is connected to a smart system as well, so that we can actually monitor that timing from our office. Because of the vehicle detection and how that'll operate, we don't see that there will be any issue with the proximity of the roundabout and the traffic signal.
Awesome.
Thank you, Brent.
Okay. All right, and we've got one hand raised that's left. L. Phillip, I'll ask you to unmute yourself. L. Phillip, do you still have a question? Give you just a few more seconds to see if you're able to ask your question. Okay. And if you can't unmute yourself, feel free to send it in the chat and I can ask it aloud. Okay, do we have any more questions from anyone else, either that you'd like to ask yourself or send through the chat? And I would just like to ask some of the co-hosts to check their own chat and make sure that no messages have been sent to them that I'm not seeing, just so we can make sure that everything's being answered. Okay. I think we're all good, so.
I do see the question, L. Phillip had a question regarding line of sight. And I assume that this is a sight distance issue. Because right now, one of the challenges I know on Miller Road is that making a left out of Miller Road can be a challenge because of the sight distance. And so that's one of the things that when we're developing this design that we do think will be improved by the design. And plus, you're also not going to be pulling out left. You'll have people coming north at a slower speed, and you only have to be watching from one direction. And so we do believe that we've improved the situation with that.
Awesome. Okay. All right, if there are no other questions from anyone else, just to reiterate again, if you find yourself with questions or concerns after this meeting, feel free to visit our website and the project webpage. You can always reach out to Kevin, the project manager, as this information is provided throughout this presentation and also on the project webpage. If any of your questions were not answered, feel free to raise your hand so we can take down your contact information and we can reach out to you at a later date. If you dialed into the meeting using your touch tone phone, you can press *9 to raise your hand. All right, thank you so much for attending our virtual construction information meeting regarding the Miller Road at Zeeb Road Roundabout project in Scio Township.
Oh, wait.
Looks like we got one last question. I'll try and let you unmute yourself, Phillip.
I'm not sure. I think I got L. Phillip says here, I'm not able to unmute myself. Line of sight is poor from Zeeb. As I said, there were some challenges with the alignment of Zeeb, where this design, we believe that we've taken care of a lot of that. Plus with the roundabout, we have removed a lot of those conflict points. And so you only really have to, oh, she says the decorative fence is an issue. So the decorative fence, as you can see on this, we have shifted the alignment of Zeeb Road just slightly to the west. And so as you're seeing the vehicles, once again, they're going to be going at a slower speed than they currently are. And we've shifted that away from the fence a little bit, that hopefully there won't be any issues with that line of sight coming up. That fence was put in by the township as part of their pathway project that was there. So we are going to be leaving most of the fence, except as it gets very close to the intersection.
Perfect. Okay, I'm going to send the link to the project webpage just one more time in the chat for everyone. So if you want to check it out yourself, you're able to. And again, this meeting's being recorded and it's going to be posted on the project webpage. So if you need to go back to look at anything or you need to reach out to anyone, definitely feel free to do that. As I stated before, the project manager's information is throughout this entire project and it's also on the project webpage. So it looks like we've answered all of our questions and we're ready to end the meeting. Thanks so much for coming. And this was regarding the Miller Road at Zeeb Road Roundabout project in Scio Township. Everyone have a great day.